Hi, this is Marcie Troyer, and I'm here with a good friend of mine, Ian, and we had a fun opportunity to do a video not too long ago, but we didn't really get to some of the nutritional things that we were wanting to talk about. So we thought we'd just have fun today, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. How's it going? So good to be here with you this morning. And is there...
Do you want to just go ahead and introduce who you are?
Sure.
For those who may not know.
My name's Ian Myers, and I am a wellness and empowerment coach, and I'm here in Southern California, and yeah, excited to be here on the video with you this morning.
We're both kind of in sunny places, but we're thousands of miles apart. So
yeah, East Coast to West. Here in Southern California, and you're on the west coast of Florida, Sarasota.
Yes. Well, you were just out in our neck of the woods. Tell us a little bit about the traveling that you've been doing.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I had the opportunity to go down to Miami Beach to visit with a client/friend and spend 7 days there in sunny Miami. And, of course, having the opportunity to come across the coast and come over and see you guys for a day on Friday. That Friday afternoon was a lot of fun. Always fun to come and drop in and see you guys. So that took me to the East Coast for a couple of days and got to work with a client and kind of go through some of kind of more of a one-on-one setting and being there in the actual environment with them and going through exercises and going through day-to-day routine type of things was a lot of fun. So that was...
And you do this regularly with clients, right? You work with them quite extensively on nutrition and exercise.
Yeah, excuse me. I do. The exercises is something a little bit... I had this opportunity that was very unique because I actually was able to be there in the field with them, so to speak. So that was a lot of fun. So I could physically go to the gym. But for those who are, say, in a different state or country, we do the best that we can through things like Skype and video chat and be able to help them navigate through their exercise programs and. It's a little different when we're in a different place, but if I have the opportunity to go and spend a day or a week like I did in Miami, I love that because then I get to be there and hands-on and actually go through these different routines and different ways of putting together programs and exercise, and that's when I really get to show up and fully show up and show them all the little small things that amount to big things at the end of the day. So that was a very unique experience, and I do enjoy traveling and going to where people are at or having them come here to California when possible.
Yeah.
So
I don't know about you, but traveling absolutely sets my soul on fire. I just
mine too.
The idea of getting to meet different people and seeing different cultures and just the beauty of nature in and of itself, and how diverse it can be.
Yeah, it's so fun just to be able to go and share different cultures and different, just see different things and share things that I know, and I always pick up new things from. When I was in Miami, I was able to learn a little bit more about some of the culture there and some of the foods, and just got some information on different countries. So it was really cool to have that unique experience. And yeah, like you say, the spirit just really blossoms, and for me too, I get the same feeling. It's like that. I have a good friend here in Southern California, and he says that feeling that you get when you go on vacation, where nothing really gets in the way. You're just so open to everything. And he calls it a vacation vibration. So he teaches this to his clients on how you can get into that vacation vibration mode and stay there. And he teaches this at retreats and fun stuff like that. So
I used to have my own travel company, and the one thing that was always I loved seeing the joy on people's faces when they came back from vacation after being gone. But after a while, it kind of got to me that I always sent other people places, and I was not the one going. So
Yeah, you come back with this like glow.
after a while, I had to reevaluate that a little bit.
Well, you were just here recently in
Yes,
Southern
love
California.
San Diego. Beautiful town. Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I think we both live in these places where we get to access the better weather year round, and our food choices here, and I know in Southern California, we're really blessed
Yeah.
to have so many amazing places and choices for food and fresh, organic
Absolutely.
options. And I've been all over the country, and I've been to some places where in Northwest Florida where I grew up, and I couldn't find any organic. I had to drive an hour almost to find something that was just even then it was subpar, but had to drive 45 minutes to find something. So in some parts of the country, these colder areas or just more remote areas that just don't have uh,
Yeah.
the same opportunities that we have here. So
Well, right now I'm working with a lot of people that are, New York and Canada, and they're just like, I don't know how to explain to you. They're just not a good quality of items available.
yeah, yeah,
So, and
so
they got to
it's,
do it. They got to work with what they can.
yeah. And what do you suggest and recommend to those people when they're having a hard time finding, what kind of suggestions or recommendations do you make when they're having a hard time finding good food sources?
Well,
What are some things
um,
that you recommend?
for those that can afford to order it in,
Yeah,
Um, I do recommend that if they can. Other than that, I tell people find the best organic frozen that you can
yeah,
and do the best that you can with what you've got. It's not. I had one guy one time. He was in the middle of a grape fast, and he did.
there we
I
go.
was thinking it was 30 days, and the first 10 days he could not find organic, and so he did 10 days anyway of grapes, and he still got some great results with those inorganic grapes.
Wow,
But then about halfway through, he found organic seeded grapes, and he said it stepped things up like he couldn't even
blast
imagine.
off. Yeah,
So you can still get some benefits. It's not that you are going to be completely, SOL, so to speak, if you can't get them, but you just do the best you can.
yeah, and that's a really good tip too. I love that frozen fruit. If you can't find it and you're kind of down to the wire, what do you do? It's still possible no matter where
Yeah,
you're at. So like frozen fruit, you could use maybe some good superfood blends to get in some good nutrition. If you're
absolutely.
kind of lacking on some of those things, and then you just have to do the best that you can. But frozen fruit, I think is I did that when I was in Denver when I first started back in 2011 and 12 during the cold seasons, and I would just use frozen fruit, blend smoothies up. I used all the berries, the berry blends,
Yeah.
one banana, and then bunches of lots of raspberries and blackberries and things. And that's how I started. I started with the blending and the juicing.
Well, we've kind of hit on this a little bit. The fact that you've been doing some traveling, I've been doing some traveling. I'm getting ready to leave tomorrow, 3 o'clock in the morning, actually, on a trip. Let's talk about that a little bit because there's a lot of people that are trying to eat healthier, but the travel, the whole airport thing, the whole, running from place to place to place in a town you're not familiar with to know some of the little quaint little back little uh, grocery stores that might have different varieties or flea markets or things like that.
Yeah.
So how do you do and how do you handle this when you're traveling?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's some little biohacking tips that I like to that I've implemented in over the years, and as I've grown over the years, and gotten more comfortable with all of these different modalities and things that we use with detoxification and intermittent fasting and dry fasting. I've taken all of that I've learned over the last almost 8 years now, and there's been an order of growth. So the way I used to travel was I would prepare before I would travel. So I'd usually have a few bananas that I would allow to ripen get the little brown spots, and I would take a bag with those to the airport, and would usually have those as like a snack along with some dates, maybe some dried fruit like mangoes, and just those were kind of the staples, was bananas, dates, mangoes. And then if I had time to prepare, sometimes I would just pre-slice up like a bag of apples, or I'd take a bag of grapes, But as I've advanced and grown over the years, like just recently, to give you an example, when I came to Florida, my flight was actually was delayed. I ended up staying at the airport for a total of 9 hours. And what I did is I actually went to the airport initially thinking, okay, I'm just going to board the plane. I only have, an hour to kill, and I'll just get on the plane and I'll fly, and I'll be up in the air for 4 hours or so, because I was flying from east to west, or west to east coast. Well, I ended up dry fasting. I didn't drink or eat anything. I just basically did some work on the computer, did some people watching, meditation, and all that stuff, and some writing. And I just dry fasted. And it was a great experience for me, because I've been doing dry fasting quite a bit. 13 hours, 16 hours is usually my window, sometimes 18. So I was able to, to do that during that time. And other times I'll do a little bit of, I'll just kind of stay in a fasted state. But I've worked up to that. It's taken time. I used to take, fruit and some snacks and things like that. Like I was mentioning, the mangoes and the apples, bananas stuff. I would take that with me to the airport and just snack on it on the plane, and, get, whenever I got to where I was going, I'd have that. But now I've gotten to the point where I actually enjoy staying in a fasted state when I travel, because my anxiety levels, to be totally transparent, I get a little nervous when I go into airports, and I'm not as bad as I used to be, because I've done some work on my body and the adrenals and stuff and the nervous system, but I still get a little anxious. And so if I know that I've learned enough from you guys that if I eat in a stressed out state, my, the impact is different. So I've learned to get comfortable with just the fasting and dry fasting. So that's helped me a lot. But snacks, if you're traveling, I mean, I love to go to the dry fruit, things like dates, dates, mangoes, and apples. Pre-sliced apples are always good. Filling, they're good calories. And
I have about an hour to, depending on traffic, anywhere from an hour to an hour and 15, 20 minutes drive to work and back every day. And to be honest, I like to half freeze grapes and cherries and stuff like that, so that they're not quite frozen, but they're they stay cold, and just eat them along my route. It's like one of the best. That's if you've got a short distance, not quite a long distance, but nothing better, nothing more satisfying than those.
Grapes are so good when they're just like you said, partially frozen. Oh, man.
Yeah, blueberries, grapes, cherries. You name it.
Yeah,
I mean,
all
you
those
can
frozen fruit.
do that with just about anything.
Absolutely, and that's a quick snack to go. You can just take a handful of frozen fruit, put it in a container, take it with you, and have it on the road. You can sometimes what I've done. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but I'll take if you can get your hands on some frozen coconut meat, and then just use the coconut water and blend it together, and it'll make like a almost like a coconut milk, a really thick coconut milk, and you pour that over the frozen fruit, and it's like a cereal.
I thought you were going to where you actually make popsicles out of it.
Oh, that could work. There's so many things you can do.
I've mixed it with peaches before and some other things, and made popsicles out of it that were just amazing.
Yeah, that's good too, with the actual whole fruit, right?
Yep.
Put that into the
it's just coconut water, coconut meat, and peaches is the one that I'm thinking of that I like the best. And you want to talk about refreshing on an afternoon. Very.
That's a good tip. I like that. Yeah. Go get yourself some popsicle form makers and get that. We got like springtime is in the air, summer's around the corner. That's a good one.
Another one that's good is to mix fresh squeezed grape juice with coconut water and mix it. It's excellent in the summer, like when you're working out
Yeah.
and you need to run in the house and grab a quick electrolyte lifter. Grapes are refreshing, number one, but the electrolytes in the coconut water are amazing.
That sounds good. Put a little scoop of the superfood blend in there, and you're blasting
Yeah.
off
Or
to
after a workout, if someone's really done, working out and
yeah.
needs a little lift, that's another good one.
That sounds good. Grapes and coconut water. And
Yes, it is divine.
all right, I like that. That's a good tip.
So
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, finish.
I was just gonna say there's so many like little tips that are just like little recipes like you just shared that are so helpful. You can do so much with just that one thing. Like you can come up with different blends to put in there, and always having something available that you can
Yeah.
reach for that may be sweet or satisfying on a hot day, rather than going for a Coca-Cola or something like something that may not be as good. So,
Well, right there, the word you just used was something available. And that is, so many people aren't prepared. And then either a craving hits or their sugars start to drop or something happens and they go to reach for something and there's not anything prepared. And so that one word right there, I think, says a whole great deal about being ready to make this kind of a switch in this lifestyle, is just knowing to be prepared ahead of time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And being prepared is something that I was thinking about this yesterday when I was creating some content for a video. Is like, we take so much time to, like, if we go on a vacation, we take time to prepare for the vacation. We do all the necessary things to make sure we're prepared for that. And then when it comes down time for us personally to take care of our health and maybe do some small preparation work, it could be cutting vegetables or pre-cutting up some fruit or something, just so you're set up for the next day or the next week ahead. Taking those little small micro steps can be like all of the difference in sustaining this lifestyle, and making this into something that you can actually do rather than a burden. So it's just like getting into the habit or the routine of like just going in the kitchen and setting a timer, saying, okay, I have an hour. What can I do in this hour that will help me along next week? Is it pre-cutting up some veggies? Is it, maybe I love to do that. Pre-cutting up vegetables is always that, and maybe making a dressing ahead of time, so I can just have some things ready to go that I can quickly grab and go. So.
Yeah.
So those little tips, just preparation I think is everything, really. Like if you go on a vacation and you say you're not into the fasting, or dry fasting's not really in your field yet, and you're just beginning and you want to make healthier choices when you're traveling. Well, just taking 20 minutes and getting yourself some dried mangoes or some slicing up some apples, and make sure you have good ripe bananas ready to go. And that could be all the difference right there. And instead of stopping and being attracted to something in the airport that's, like pizza or the burgers or something, or a sandwich that you may not want, but you're just like, I'm starving. And those 20, 30 minutes of preparing something for yourself before you go can be all the difference in not going that route.
Right. So I've heard a little of your story, but many haven't. What brings a man who, at the time, I think you were in your mid-30s or around roughly early 30s, to go from burgers and fries and chicken and things like that to a plant-based diet? Make that leap for us. Make that connection.
Gosh, I feel like it was just yesterday. I mean, I was 28 or 29 years old, and I went in and was going to get just a standard physical. I knew I had hypertension. I had high blood pressure for a while. Lifestyle was totally different. I was working in a field of like real estate in Atlanta, and I was working a lot of hours, maybe 60, 70 hours a week, and I had a lot of stress through that outlet. And then I was going out, staying up late, and I got this diagnosis when I went to the doctor. He said, you have high blood pressure, so let's does heart disease run in your family? No, it doesn't. Well, they did all these different tests, heart scans, EKG, and they came up. He said, you're in the beginning stages of developing heart disease, and you have high blood pressure, and he said your testosterone levels are way down, and I was just starting to think like the sugar. I mentioned some of this on some videos where I was kind of like a pre-diabetic phase because I was not metabolizing sugars properly, and my kidneys were. What I later learned after I found you guys is that I was having a lot of issues with like adrenals, and in my teenage years I took Accutane, which some people may have heard of that or taken it before, and it's so damaging to the liver and the body and the adrenals. And then I also took a round of prednisone at the same time, and it's just like that it really did some damage to my body. And so at 30 years old, I had some things that changed in my life. Had a tragedy that happened, and losing my father, and I just knew that like something had to come online, something had to change. It was a real it was like this pivotal moment for me, and I decided to leave the job that I was at, and I had a little bit of money saved up, so I decided to move somewhere where I didn't know anybody. I went to Colorado and settled there, and took 8 months off of work, and just through YouTube videos. Thank God for YouTube. It's just like it put who some people may know, Dan McDonald, the Life Regenerator. I found his video of him juicing, and that video was like something about his message about fruits and vegetables, and how they can heal your body. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try this. But being the oldest out of 3 kids, I never ate vegetables. Growing up, it was like, just didn't like them. I didn't like the texture, the taste, the flavors. It was just off limits for me. And after watching his video, and he said, if you can just do a daily juice, and he was like using these mason jars, and 32 ounces of juice a day will totally change your life. Okay, so I went out and got a juicer, and didn't know anything about how to pick out produce or vegetables, so I just was like in this new world, and went out and got the juicer, got the vegetables, and just started. I didn't change. I didn't go on a diet. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no guidance. I just knew what I saw in the videos, so I copied the recipes. It was like an apple, carrot, I think it was ginger and lemon. It's really simple. And I drank one of those mason jars every day. 3 to 4 months into it, my taste buds started to change. I started to like...
So, you've told me a little bit. I just want to interject this. You hadn't completely switched your lifestyle. You were still eating some of the other things, correct?
Oh, yeah,
you were just adding this to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't just like make a switch just like that. And I know when I work with a lot of people, this is why I feel really, through my own experiences, I've been able to, because I didn't like vegetables growing up. So when I work with people now, I really get it sometimes when people say they're having a hard time eating the vegetables, because I can remember how it was for me. I mean, you put a salad in front of me or French fries, I would have always taken French fries. Salad was just didn't interest me at all. But during that time before I actually went raw, I was eating, my morning meals would still be like eggs. Let's see there. I'd have orange juice, but it'd be like Tropicana. I would have a cup of coffee every day. I owned a coffee maker then, and I had a grill. I would cook fish, tilapia, and I was kind of the grill guy. That was my thing. And then I started to slowly, after about 3 to 4 months, the only thing I was doing differently was just adding the juice in every day, and then I would have a smoothie. I started to do smoothies as well, and after 3 to 4 months, it was just like something went off, and I started to actually have a craving for greens, which was like, I'd never had that before. So you can imagine the amount of like, wow, this is new territory. And I remember calling my mom and telling her that, hey, I'm eating a salad, and she's like, what? And this is it was just fun because I was on a new path and I felt
Yeah.
different. I was feeling different. Um, I just had a whole different way of being. That was coming online, but I didn't just do it overnight. It took a while. It was a daily commitment with just the juicing for 3 to 4 months, and then things started to like slowly change. And after
Hmm.
about by month 6, I was almost 100% raw, and by the 8th month, I had dropped over 20 or 30 pounds, and by the time I'd hit about 10 to 12 months, I think I'd lost somewhere like 60 pounds or so. I lost a total of 75 pounds. So,
Now, what were people around you saying about this?
oh, they were like, "Are you okay?" I remember when I first started this, I was in a relationship, and she knew me as we would go out and have dinners, and we would, I would cook and prepare and put meat on the grill and do steak and fish and stuff like that. I love doing that. And then I started going to like fruits and veggies and juicing, and it was like totally different. So our relationship actually suffered from that. It was just I was going in a different direction, and she was going in a different direction. And I remember before we parted ways, we went back home and saw friends and had this big dinner. And I remember people coming up saying, "Are you okay, man? You've lost a lot of weight." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." Well, I knew what I was doing. I was like, I know I'm losing weight, but I didn't realize how much, because I see myself every day. These people hadn't seen me in 3, 4 months, where I'd probably dropped like 30, 40, maybe 50 pounds. So they were quite shocked. And I said, "No, I'm detoxifying my body. I'm going to get skinny, and then I'm going to put weight back on." I had it all mapped out. I already knew. I was fully bought into the process. I trusted the process, and I had to work through that because I had friends, good friends of mine, family members. They all thought I had a few screws loose. They were, they couldn't understand why I was getting super skinny. They thought something was wrong, and I think a lot of people go through that when we're detoxifying and letting go. It's like I use the analogy of a sponge, a sponge soaking up and expanding with all of the toxins in our body. And then when you detoxify, it's like you squeeze that sponge out and you get rid of all that stuff. And then you're like able to absorb more of the good stuff. So
Well, one of the things that I've encountered, and it's been kind of interesting to watch, is the more weight that comes off for me in this lifestyle, the more some people don't know what to do with that. They don't know, are you going to be like all up in their face now because now they need to lose weight and they
yeah,
need to do what you're doing and all this stuff? Or,
yeah,
it's one of those things where sometimes people don't know how to respond to you. It's like you don't just lose the weight, you lose part of who you are. And I used to be, Marcie, the life of the party, and just always bringing in the desserts and the foods and the things like that. And now I'm not. I'm this different person now, and so I kind of do it in a different way. A lot of people have said, "Haven't you had to give up friends and stuff for this?" And I said, "No, I haven't. If anybody invites me over to their house, I'm always the first one to say, I'll bring the fruit bowl or I'll bring a salad or whatnot. That way I know I
yeah,
at least have something there I can eat. And it doesn't keep me from feeling like I can't be around those that I care about.
yeah,
And so that's been kind of, one way that I've had to look at it, because a lot of people have said that they've lost a lot of friends through this before. And I think that's a sad statement. I mean, yes, your things can, your things that you're passionate about kind of diverse, go in a different direction, but that doesn't mean that you have to lose that friendship.
yeah. That's a really good point to make too, because you're right. There's a lot of people when they first get on this journey, this new health journey of like new discovery, like getting all this new information, and you know, I we want to share it with people. It's like we want to tell the world because we're feeling good or we feel more empowered. And what I found that ends up happening is that we get so excited, but we haven't quite learned how to share it with people, and so we end up scaring them away, or they think we're crazy, or what are you following some kind of like cult or something like that? and it's normal behavior. You know, we just haven't, as humans, we haven't, or as somebody on the health journey, just as you get more seasoned and you learn how to approach it, and just really, it's like leading by, what I found is just in my personal life is just leading by example. You know, not worrying about all the noise and the distractions, but just taking care of myself and doing the things that I'm committed to doing every day, or at least to the best of my ability. And then as I do that, it's like putting the mask on first, the oxygen mask on first. Then you can show up in the world for everybody else. And usually people just come naturally and ask questions like, "What are you doing? Why are you eating that way?" And you just give them like little tidbits of information, and just enough to kind of plant a seed. And then they think about it, and they watch you, and they think about it, and they watch you in action. And the next thing you know, they're asking for help. Versus like, you know, you have to do it this way. This is the only way to do it. You know, because we get so excited about our new endeavor, and we're feeling good, so we think everybody should be doing it right the way that we're doing it. And while it may be true, people, you know, we all need to detoxify on some level, but you know, it's like playing the patient game, and just like letting people come to you when they're ready, and just leading by example. Those are probably some of the best things I can share. It's like just being patient, and just
instead of picking it up and shoving it down their throat, making them gag on it. You know, letting them nibble a little bit here and a little bit there until it really starts to draw them in, and they decide they really like this.
Yeah, even if you know that they need it, like if they need it like yesterday or last week, and you want to say it so bad, it's just, you can just plant a little seed, and they see you doing it, and you're in action around it, and making smoothies and staying consistent. People look for the consistency, and when they see that, and they see the changes happening, then they're naturally drawn. They gravitate over to with curiosity. So,
absolutely,
yeah. So that.
One question I had was, and you may have kind of already answered this, but the defining moment for you, there's a lot of people that get the label heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, any one of those, but it doesn't necessarily push them into this direction. What was that defining moment for you? What took you? Was it a gradual thing, like you said, the juices that kind of just started building up, and then calling to you, and that kind of thing? Or was there something that just clicked with you that said, you know, I need to be better today than I was yesterday, and how do I achieve that?
Wow. I think it was, for me, I knew I needed to change. I didn't want to take medication. I was really solid on that. There was no question. I didn't want high blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication. I wasn't interested. So I knew that there was something radical that needed to shift. And through the videos that I watched of Dan McDonald, I knew enough, or I felt enough inspiration there that I could make a change, you know, by incorporating the juicing in. So I was committed to that path, and everything else just seemed to work itself through. Now, through those videos that Dan was posting back in 2012, there was a video that he posted about the botanical herbs from you guys, and I was immediately drawn to it. I was like, oh, herbs, botanical herbs. I didn't know what they were. If somebody would have said something, mentioned a botanical herb, or even like spirulina, I would have been clueless. I had no idea. I was more of the supplement, whey protein, creatine kind of guy, multivitamin. So I knew zero about botanicals. But the way he explained it, and the impact that they have on the body, I was immediately like, I need to learn more about that. And then I saw Robert's videos, Dr. Morse talking about the herbs and talking about the protocols and how you can heal your body. And I said, a light bulb went off, and it's like, that's what I need. I felt just called to do that. And now I have people who I get to work with, who, I get to show up for and guide through the process. Just like yourself, we get to get these people coming in, but that was my big moment. It was just starting with the juicing, and then finding out about the herbs and the protocols and how they work. And then I just started getting into action and applying them, and came in for the class and got the certification and got the knowledge and the information. And and then through the daily practice with it, and just doing it, just committed to that. And if I made a mistake or an error, got off track a little bit, I just get back on. Just keep on going. Right.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because so many people feel like they cannot make a mistake at all.
Yeah.
Doing this. You hear about those who all of a sudden they just flip to raw, and there's no more animal proteins, there's no more this, there's no more that. And then 6 months down the road, they've kind of fizzled out, and I don't want to talk about that anymore, type of thing, because they didn't have, I think they judged themselves too radically. And so let's talk about that. What are some of your struggles? What are some of I'm sure you have temptations. I'm sure you have, days that you would consider would be off days or cheat days or whatnot.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those just a little bit, so that the average person knows out there that this isn't about you make one decision one day and you're just gallivanting off. And there may be some that do that. But I want to talk to a little bit to the person who's really struggling to stay on this path right now.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the thing is, I can just speak about my travels recently, because I went to Miami and then I went to Colorado over the last couple of weeks. And, when I go and travel, I'm out of my element. And places that I go don't always have exactly the same things that I'm used to. And, for example, bananas are kind of a staple for me. Well, when I won't eat a banana unless it has the brown spots. I'm really picky on that. I know the difference. I know how it digests, and I'm not interested. So I had to figure out other ways to operate.
I love the pile off to the side where they pile all the brown spotted ones. Yeah. It's like they're just piling. Here, Marcie. I go over to those and I try finding them and picking them, and my husband's like, "Those are too brown. Those are too done." And I'm like, "No, they're not.
These are the perfect way to eat them." I mean, I go into grocery stores just like hoping that I'll find the biggest pile ever. Sometimes I do out here locally. But when I'm on the road traveling, there's times where I have to be able to open up a little bit. And, I always say that, it's what we do 90% of the time that really matters. That's where the impact is. So if 10% of the time, say you're traveling somewhere, you don't have access to all the things, and, you can't, there's nothing available except for, I don't know, say you go in somewhere and you can get steamed vegetables, and maybe there's an opportunity for a baked potato or a sweet potato. Okay, I would do that over having a piece of meat or having something that I used to, like pasta or something. Right. I would do that over that. Sometimes I have to do that when I travel, and I'm okay with that, because I know that when I come back home and I'm back in my element, I get right back on track. I have herbs here. I have things like GI Broom. I have a lot of different blends of herbs that I can use that assist my body with cleaning out. And I think life is a constant, we're constantly cleaning and strengthening and cleaning and strengthening. And as long as we're doing that, you have a little bit of room to get off a little bit, just come right back on. You don't spend much time over there on the other side. So that's the way I live. I live a lot more balanced now. I have done, the no fat, the high fruit. I did that in the beginning, and I needed that. I think my body needed that reset, but I didn't just jump right in. It took me, as I was mentioning earlier, like 4 months or so to get to that point to where I was like ready to do that. And then I spent a bit of time there with no fats and all of that, just went fully in. And that was kind of necessary, I think, for me to really do the level of cleansing that I did. But there were times during that moment where I was really dialed in with no fats that sometimes I would go in and have like a scoop of peanut butter. I mean, I'd have a scoop, but I didn't do that like all day, every day. I just have a scoop here and there. But not, like 98% of the time I was eating no fat, fruits, and that was it. And herbs. Had a great impact on my body, and allowed me to really do a lot of work. So I think finding some balance out there is really helpful, because we have so many things going on that stir things up inside, and it can be an emotional ride.
Yeah. Well, when we I talk to my clients all the time about this because when we detox the body, we do end up eventually detoxing emotionally and
Oh
spiritually.
yeah,
And those emotional roller coasters, detoxing moments can really send a person for a loop. And they've got to be able to find some balance. They just
absolutely.
do.
Yeah, yeah, and it can be really challenging on that when you're out there on that ride and the emotional stuff comes up. If you don't have a protocol for that, I always like to say, well, what's your stress management coping? How do you cope with things? Do you have meditation? Do you have an EMDR therapist or a place that you can go to get that trauma type of work done? Because as these things come up, these old traumas, old things that come to the surface, it's like, whoa, it can be heavy. Some days you wake up happy and want to take on the world. Some days you wake up and want to cry next to your bed and just like it's real. You
find a knife in the pillow. No,
yeah.
just teasing.
It all happens. I've had moments where I've been on my knees in the bathroom just crying. It's like, wow, where was that? Where'd that come from? And I still keep going through like different dimensions or levels and layers, as I continue on.
Do you find that it's easier to process the emotions the further into this you go?
Yeah, because I have more coping strategies now. Like I've done a 10-day Vipassana silent meditation retreat in the desert where I basically took a vow of silence and lived like a monk for 10 days and was just total silence and blissed out. Like I had the chance to face a lot of old stuff that came up to the surface and like you're not speaking to anybody, you're not writing or reading or doing anything. There's no social media to plug into, no distractions, so you get to just sit there. Now, if I would have done that, let's say 10 years ago, I don't know that I would have made it through. I wasn't mentally or physically ready for that type of level. So I think as I continue to mature and grow and evolve and become more aware of my body and just that awareness, I think my coping mechanism or skills or strategies, then I have different ways of handling and working through those things. So, and that's what I teach too, is I help people to, through my own experiences on how I've navigated things, I'm able to show up and help other people help to navigate through some of that terrain, that when it comes up, it's like, well, what do you do?
Sometimes the scariest person to face is that person in the mirror, ourselves.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when you look, and especially if you're, sometimes people are critical on themselves. Look in the mirror and it was like, you see that reflection and it was, wow. And then when you're detoxifying, especially on a deep level and you're doing some fasting, sometimes those old things can really come up and you look in the mirror and it's like, oh, wow, who is that person? But then there are going to be times when you look in the mirror and you're like, I love you. And you just like, and you really can look in the eyes and just like be all in on that. So it's just weathering the storm and knowing that these things do come up and like being prepared for it. So when they do, you can just have something in place that somebody you reach out to, a coach, a mentor, you go do some meditation, some writing, some journaling, so many good things that we can do.
So many good things. I remember, I don't think I would have made it through the time when Craig and I lost our second son. I would not have made it through that without the journaling and just the faith that came along with that you had to have. I don't think I would have made it.
Yeah.
So, and Craig actually just dealt with that. That was 24 years ago that we lost Brandon. And he actually just went through his grieving period about 2 years ago. So you can never tell when it's time for somebody or when it's not. It's gonna surface when it needs to surface.
Yeah, and then having that support and that love and other people around that can just hug you and comfort you and just bring you back up, because that's so good that he was able to get that up and let it come out. But those are the real things, we suppress. I know for me growing up, I got really good at suppressing things. If you had asked me about my childhood, I couldn't have shared it because I couldn't access it. It was like it was closed off in this tight little container and it was tucked neatly away behind all the clothes in the closet. And now I'm like learning how to access those things and be grateful for them, because I can't change them. But what I can do is like look at them as like, wow, I can use that to help other people. And maybe there's a reason I experienced those things and had some different things going on. And now I can we have so much love in the community that has been developed over the last 8 years or so, and so much support out there. We have the you guys doing the YouTube videos. I do YouTube videos. You work with people. I work with people. We all get to the opportunity to really when people are ready to step up, they can when people are ready to step up, they have support. They have the support system there. So
support system is so important, because you're going to have a lot of people that kind of like you did. You lost, what was it, 75 pounds or more, and got really, really skinny. And there's a lot of people that have to walk that route. We have a lot of clients that come to us with cancer and things like that, where it's ravished their body, and their body has to break down to a very, very small, skinny state, and before it can start building. And we have a lot of parents, we have a lot of brothers and sisters who they absolutely love you and are very, very concerned for you, but they don't understand what you're trying to accomplish. And so having a support system where somebody understands what you are trying to do, explain how important that is.
Yeah, the support system is, like, in my opinion, is where the rubber meets the road, because without it, you're just kind of like, it's like a captain at sea on a big ship with no coordinates. You're just kind of drifting around, or a pilot on an airplane with no coordinates. You just kind of float around. You're not doing anything, or it's very challenging to get through. So having a support system set up, whether it be a mentor, a good friend, somebody you're doing it with, is really I think where the rubber meets the road. And luckily we have Facebook and social media platforms where people are getting in, creating communities and things. So it's really, we're really blessed to have all these outlets and avenues for support, because sometimes our immediate family, immediate friends may not always be that supporter in the beginning. Sometimes they're the ones that are like, they're watching you to see what you're going to do. They're not always the best supporters, so you got to find other avenues, people on the social media or Facebook. To reach out to.
You've got the physique that many want to attain. What do you say to the person out there who asks you, where do you get your protein?
Yes, that's a good question. And of course I hear that a lot. And I can say this, the protein myth, or that question comes up all the time, because I think, if I could reverse this back to before I got into this, and I was eating lots of meat, animal protein, taking whey protein powders. I mean, I was eating enough protein to probably feed a small family, for a day. And if you would have told me back then that plant-based eating, would give you all that you need, I would have had to question that. I would have been like, there's no way. But there wasn't a lot of people doing it back then. I didn't see anybody who had a really good-looking physique, because it wasn't a big thing. And what I've noticed over the last 8 years is that what's possible when you take time in the beginning to kind of wring out that sponge, to detoxify, get your body cleaned out. Maybe you get skinny, you drop some weight, then you can rebuild. And I was able to do that. It's taken me a long time. I mean, here I am, almost 8 years. I've put on, I went from 170 to 190, 195 right now. So I've put on some good weight. But I kind of stayed between 190, 195 after all that time. I haven't kept going up the ladder because I haven't brought those foods back in. I'm not eating the rice and the quinoas and the oatmeals and the grains. I'm just not doing that. So I stay about 90 to 95% raw. And I leave a little bit of room in there to have some cooked, some steamed or cooked veggies, and the occasional like cooked vegan pizza. I mean, those things are things that help keep me balanced. But 90-95% of the time, I'm all in, with raw. So so the protein thing is something that getting a balance in there is really important. If you're not an athlete and you're not lifting a significant amount of weights, then you don't really need as much, and you can almost fulfill your goals or your amino acid goal, which keeps your lean muscle on, through just the foods, just through a balanced variety of leafy greens, a balanced variety of fruits, maybe some nuts and seeds in there to soak nuts and seeds. You always want to do that. Keep that in there as a small, because they do slow detoxification down. So depending on goals and things like that, but you can certainly build muscle and just have to be balanced. And I like to recommend superfoods as additional ways to get in more varieties of nutrition, vitamins, minerals, enzymes, things like that. So, superfood blends and powders and stuff are just ways that we can get more in if you need it. So.
You're doing some unique stuff with your own little blends. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've really had an interest. I mean, since I started this, I had an interest in herbs and formulating them and creating them, but I just am starting to get into, creating superfood blend powders for building muscle, things that I use personally. And then I started going, well, maybe I could just get these in bulk and start to make the formula. And instead of buying another formula, I'll get the bulk order in and I'll just create it myself. And so I've been playing around with making powders and capsules. I like efficiency. So if I'm on the road somewhere and can't make a shake, then I take a capsule. And so I like to have varieties of that. I have created some liver support capsules as well recently. That are things like burdock and dandelion. I can't think of them all right off the top of my head, but I got a good blend going there for the liver, and then I've got another one that's more of incorporating the sea vegetables, the kelp and the dulse and the Irish moss and things like that. And a brain and nerve formula, something that really gets in the gotu kola, the ginkgos, the schizandra berries, skullcap, those, they're really powerful. So just getting in more of that good stuff, however you can, do it. And you guys have amazing formulas there, and I've been using those for so long. But being out here on the West Coast, it's a bit of a journey for those little suckers to travel. So I started to create my own out here, and just and I have them available whenever I want them, or if I'm working with somebody and they need a little bit of they need something on the fly and they're here locally, I can give it to them and deliver. So it's good to be able to have that. It's been fun for me to get in there and formulate these, because now I'm
to taste them and play and see what they do. And now on my end, I've had some that have kind of kicked my butt a few times, but they're still fun to play with.
Yeah, they are.
I have my own little lab in my kitchen where I'm always trying and throwing this together with this and trying this out. And it's just fun to play.
Yeah, it really is. And you can't go wrong. I mean, there's a few of them, lymphatic herbs, that if you don't have some kidney herbs there and some adrenal herbs, you can get into a little bit of trouble. But for the most part, it's a wide open field, and most of them are harmless. They're only going to help you. So you just get more in. And I find that using capsules are a great way to do it. Just formulating, putting some of the best ones that I feel like are really good for specific glands or tissues or organs. Just put them into the capsule, take them, and you're good to go. Just getting that nutrition in, getting that energy into the body is the number one thing. So it's been fun. It's been a really fun couple of months playing around with the herbs.
The one I think gave me, it was peppermint, stevia, and I forget what it was mixed with, but I just mixed it in water, and it was so refreshing. It was actually really good.
That was like a superfood that had some of the skullcap. It had some of the No
wonder I felt smarter the rest of the day.
Alfalfa, the alfalfa, spirulina. It was a good builder formula, and it also had some of the brain and nerve and the circulation stuff in there.
Yeah.
But I find that some of the circulation herbs they can be a little bitter, so I don't put much in there. But it's tricky finding the right combinations that you can put into a shake or even water and make it taste good. So what was it? It was a spearmint and the stevia help to sweeten it a
Yes,
little
that was
bit,
it.
so it takes away from some of the bitter,
Yeah,
the bitter taste. So I'm learning. I got a lot to learn, but it's fun. I'm enjoying the process.
good. Well, another question that I had, and I know that a lot of people will have this question, is how much exercise do you have to maintain this?
Yeah, it's all based on how I feel. I mean, well, let me back up. So typically what I like to do is 3 days a week, and then every now and then I'll get into these like 4 and 5 days a week type of routines. But because I'm not actually a competitor on stage, I'm just going for more. I may do that. I feel kind of called to do something like that soon, but right now I'm just enjoying the process of like just seeing what's possible with the body. I exercise maybe 3 days a week, strength training at least, and then the days that I'm not strength training, I'll do some kind of outdoor activity. Maybe it's a run or stairs on the beach, or a run on the beach. Maybe it's a bike ride, things like that, a hike out in the woods and nature, those kinds of things. But strength training, when I train, I like to go for an hour, and I always pre-plan my workout. I'll set the timer, like I'm going to be here an hour. Here's what I'm going to do. I always prepare myself so when I walk in, it's like I go right to it, and I go with a level of intensity that some people are like, I can't work out with you because I'm so into it. I focus. I put headphones on. I don't talk to anybody, and I don't make a lot of noise when I'm in there like some people do. But I just go in there and I'm really focused. And when I leave, I'm sweating, and I've worked up a good sweat, and I put a lot of attention. So like if I'm doing a bicep curl, I'm not just curling like this. I'm like slow control, and I feel what I'm doing. A lot of like mind muscle connection, and I find that helps with the growth and the development of the muscle. And sometimes it's little tweaks like that can help somebody to have a better result. But 3 days a week is usually really good for somebody who's just interested in maintaining their body mass, or putting on a little bit of lean muscle. And then you can always go to more 4 and 5 day structures as well. It's just a little bit more taxing on the body,
Mm-hmm.
and depends on each person, somebody's goals. But I like to go 3 or 4 days a week. That works really well.
Because so many people think that I had done a pageant in the past, and I was there like 3 and 4 hours a day at the gym, 4 and 5 and 6 days a week.
Oh my God.
And there are some people that think that unless you're doing something like that you can't even begin to look, even ripped or that kind of thing. And just wanting them to understand that it may not be the quantity, it's the quality, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah. Putting that mind muscle connection, really taking your time, slowing down the workouts, putting more connection to the muscle, and then as you do that, then it's about the recovery. Then it's about, are you getting 7 hours of sleep? Are you refueling after your workout? Things like that. I personally like to work out in a fasted state, so I go in and I only eat 1 to 2 meals a day. I usually eat between the hours of 12 or 1 and 4 or 5, somewhere in that window. It's when my body's the strongest, the warmest, and that's when I digest the best. So that's how I've been doing it now for almost the last year, and the results have been amazing. And so I basically eat, I'll work out in the morning, usually 5, 6, somewhere in that area. And then I'll stay in a fasted state with just, something like just this water, lemon. I won't take any supplements or any kind of, or any herbs or anything. I'll just stay in a fasted state all the way up until about 12 or 1, until I have that first meal. That first meal, my body is like super sensitive, insulin sensitive, hormone sensitivity is elevated. So I put the nutrition in, which is always a smoothie or some kind of fruit and superfoods. And that just like, body absorbs all of it and utilizes every bit of it. But that also spikes insulin as a result. So insulin goes up, and what I do is I wait till 4 or 5, and then the insulin comes back down gradually, and it gets down to a low enough state to where when I eat again, it brings it back up. So I'm only getting 2 insulin spikes throughout the day versus like eating small meals all day, um, where I'm constantly getting this, spike of insulin. Even though it's small because it's smaller meals, you're still getting oxidative stress through that. So it's just the way I've been doing it and experimenting with it to see and how it's working, how my body physique looks, only eating 1 to 2 meals a day, and they're bigger meals, and I've been impressed with the results, and it's the results don't, they tell you everything. Either you look skinnier or you look less healthy. So it's been very good. It's been a good experience. So
We've got just a little bit of time. Let's talk about fasting, because a lot of people are looking at the intermittent fasting and that kind of thing. How important is that to a person's, like we were just talking here a little bit about the exercise aspect of things. When a person is detoxing, they want to exercise less. They still want movement.
yeah,
Because if you're not moving, your lymph's not moving.
right.
So we still want movement, but you don't want to be building and creating a lot of lactic acid during this detoxing phase. But when it comes to a building phase, let's talk about uh, fasting and just like you said, the whole workout thing and how you eat and how long you intermittent fast. Do you do dry fasts? Let's talk about how the importance of fasting in your diet.
So the fasting is something that the water side of water fasting, I do that every day, and I'll do that anywhere from like 18 to 20 hours every day. Now there's a couple of days during the weeks where I'll choose to just cut the water part out, and I'll actually start the dry fast the night before, where I just cut out the water and the liquid, and I'll take that through the next day until maybe 13, 14, 15, or 16 hours. And then I'll add the liquids in, then I'll add in my first meal and just keep going that way. So I like to do that a few days a week whenever I feel really strong and hydrated, and dry fasting, you definitely wouldn't want to do that if you were coming off of a dehydrated diet, things like that. I wouldn't advise it. But dry fasting, if you're hydrated and you've been eating a lot of fruits and veggies in their natural state, hydrated on a cell level, then you could get away with 13 to 16 hours of doing some dry fasting. I mean, some guys are doing 2 and 3 days of it straight, which is incredible. I've never done that before, but what I've noticed, at least with water fasting and with implementing a little bit of the dry fasting in, is that it keeps the inflammation down, it keeps the body detoxifying, gives the digestive tract a break, allows insulin levels to come down. So everything kind of has a chance to like take a break, and we're not just constantly eating all day. So in my personal opinion, what I've noticed with what I've been doing is that I feel really good when I do the fasting. And it is, some days it's a stretch, and some days, instead of 18 to 20 hours, if I feel like I really need something, I just listen to my body, and if I've got to break the fast at 16 hours because I feel like I need to have something, I'll do it. But it's that whole 90% of the time thing again. If 90% of the time I'm doing it, to the highest possible level, then I can make those shifts and things happen and still reap the benefits of what happens when you do, do the dry fasting or intermittent fasting.
So kind of what I'm hearing from you is not to be too harsh on yourself, to go with a balance. And listen to your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that's one way I do something, and the way somebody else experiences it could be a little bit different, and usually it is. Everybody's going to have a slightly different experience with how things happen, and that's cool. That's normal. And so it's just how do you maneuver through that? And just being patient, being kind to yourself. If you feel something comes up where you're like, God, I gotta eat. Okay, well, go eat. See how you feel. And then the next time that you start to get that hunger, maybe you say, well, I'll try to go a little longer to see what happens. It's constantly being curious and see what happens. And then through your own experience, then you have an experience that you can say, well, yeah, I waited actually, and I actually felt better. Or I broke it today and I ate and I didn't feel good. So it's like we always are getting data and information as we're going through.
Like, we have a lot of people that come to us very, very sick, and they do have to take things more seriously and kind of really stick to that, getting themselves cleaned out for a while. But we also have those that are coming to us that they detox for a while, but then they want to get on that path. They're younger, they're healthier, they don't have the labels of disease that some have, and they want to reach out and work with someone like you, where they've detoxed for a little while and now they want to work towards building and just getting on from here on healthy way of lifestyle. And you do work with them. And how would somebody that wants to do that get in touch with you?
Well, a couple of different ways. I think the best way is just to send an email, and then through the email we can set up a time to chat, to go over goals and things like that, kind of get a better idea if it's a good fit, where they're located, and just get all the details. So my email address is usually the best way to go, and that's just my first name, Ian, IAN, at ianmyerswellness.com, and it's MYERS wellness.com. So you can send an email there, and I usually answer emails within 72 hours. I'm able to get back to you and set up a time. And then, of course, I have a YouTube channel, so if people are interested in just starting there, I always recommend just check out a few videos, make sure that I resonate with you and the way I talk and do things and my approach. And then if you feel really, feels like an alignment, let's set up a time to talk, and have a conversation and see if we can structure something that would work, be workable.
Sounds good.
And then also through Facebook, I'm also pretty active on Facebook and I think it's the Instagram. Instagram's kind of something new for me, but still over there a little bit, but Facebook is good. Facebook works really well too. You can communicate there, we can even leave a link too. We can leave a link on the video once we get this uploaded. That'd be great.
Sounds good.
Some good questions coming. Love it.
There was. I think that's all the questions I had. Did you have anything that you wanted to add or talk about?
Gosh, I think we covered so many good topics. It was a really good flow of conversation. From the traveling, what do you do, and just so many good little tips. Maybe we'll be able to break it down on the video in
right.
segments of where you can find specific pieces.
Well, these are all questions that a lot of my clients have, and like I said, there is a place for detoxing, but there does come a time when you have to start building.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for my clients to get to that point. And we've had some that, it's been a real struggle for them trying to find that balance. And I want them to find that balance, because I don't want somebody to spend all this time getting healthier only to get pulled back into society, into other ways, bad habits and things like that, and then finding themselves starting all over again. This is a lifestyle that you can continue with and obviously enjoy. And live very healthy in. And that's important for people to realize as well.
Yeah, totally. And you can always shift the gear a little bit. If you're doing a really deep level of detox and you're like, man, I need a break, I need to balance out a little bit, maybe go do some building, get onto more of a maintenance type of thing. That's where I can maybe, give some assistance and help to navigate that a little bit. So then you can go back to the detox. And I do that with clients a lot, where they'll do maybe 4 weeks on detox, they'll do 2 months off. They'll do 1 month on and 2 months off. So it gives them time to reset, let their body catch up to where they are. And of course, if you have a serious issue, like, you've been diagnosed with cancer or something like that, there's no time to wait. You got to go full in. But for those who are just looking to maintenance, to get healthy, there's many different ways to structure it and to lead and guide you through. So would love the opportunity to be able to speak to anybody out there who's feeling called to go into the level of building. And would love to have a conversation. And I love what you guys are doing there. It's so needed. You're right. The detox is a big it's a key part of this whole thing. It's like the foundation, and if you can do the detox to a certain level and get your foundation built really solid and sound, then you can, the building part's easier. It's still, it takes time and patience.
Well, no one buys a house and cleans it once. Right. Nobody buys a car and washes it once. Detoxing isn't something that you do for a year and then never do again. Right. It's things that you revisit it. You work at a building lifestyle like you've been doing. And then maybe, bears gather and hibernate in the winter. Maybe once a year you go through a detox phase where you do more cleaning and that kind of thing. And every year you build and clean and build and clean and continue to get yourself better and better. And that's what ultimately it's about.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. It's just, you can structure it so many different ways, but it's like we're constantly doing, I live this as a lifestyle now. I've kind of built it in. But do I ever go out and have a vegan pizza? Sure, absolutely. I don't do it weekly or even monthly, but I do it whenever I want to do it. But I spend most of my time, doing things like right now I'm in a fasted state. I have water, lemon. I drink this until probably, 1 o'clock today. I feel a little bit hungry right now, but it's okay. I know I'm not hungry because my body has plenty of fuel in there from body fat, things like that. I'm not starving. I'm not malnourished, I'm not. So, I go through these things through the day where it's like, are you going to feel a little hungry when you have a water and lemon in the morning and stay in a fasted state? Yeah, you're going to feel a little hungry because the body is just like, it thinks it's hungry, but it's not. It has plenty of stuff in there to feast on,
Every kid thinks they want to have a toy in a toy store.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you just sometimes they get one and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, patience, listen to your body, and make it can be fun if you look at it, if you can pull that into your vision of like, how can we create it, make it fun, challenge yourself.
Craig and I, one time, we each picked our top 7 fruits that we liked, and every day was a different one. We mono-fasted apples one day, we did pears another day, we did peaches another day, and that kind of thing. We just made it fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's one week. It was every day was something different, and we just made it fun that way. It's kind of like you got to make everything fun in life.
It's so good when you have a partner that you can do that, or a friend, or somebody that you can do those things.
That's why you can't give up hope on everyone just immediately. My husband, when I first started this, he looked at me and he said, "You don't touch the dairy and you don't touch the meat." And but he's since lost, I think he's closing in on 85, 90 pounds. And wow. He probably does better than I do sometimes at this. And it's just one of those things where I've just sat back and watched in amazement with him because he's taught me a lot. If I would have given up on him right away, I don't know where I'd be today.
Well, that's part of the partnership. It's like, being able to, you have a bad day, he's there to pick you up, or vice versa. It's like constantly helping each other. And the same is true in our communities too, that are built online. These communities, people come in, they have like a bad day and people are like, it's going to be okay. You got this. And, it's so good to see all that happening out there. Support systems. And Craig's looking good. I saw him, got to see you guys here in California. And
we enjoyed it. Thanks for meeting us.
Big difference from the year prior when I saw you guys here.
Yeah.
So he's doing some good things. Keep it up.
Well, thanks for talking with me. Yeah. And it was fun.
Yeah, I'd love to have another.
Hopefully people will find some good things in here that they can take away.
I think so. And it's always a pleasure to see you. And maybe we'll have another opportunity here sometime soon to make another video. I'm sure
we might see a class.
Yeah, that's very possible. It's certainly in the field right now. So would love to be there. I'm setting my intention for it.
Sounds good.
Well,
okay.
All right. Well, you have a lovely day. Thanks for the video, and it's been good to see you and good to be here. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes, we do too. We both hope you all enjoyed it.
Yes.
So.
All
I
right.
forget we're on the other end of the other end here, and that we're talking to people. So, all right.
All right.
Bye
Well,
bye.
so good to see you. Have a great day.